In the year 2006, a Canadian hunter was near the North Pole and he was walking along a frozen lake. But all of a sudden, he sees a polar bear approaching him. He shoots and kills the bear. At first, he thought he shot a polar bear, but once he got up and close and looked at it, he noticed that he shot the weirdest bear he's ever seen. It looked exactly like a bear, but nothing he had seen before. At first, he said it looks like a grizzly and polar bear had a baby. And news about shooting a bear that looked like this passed around Canada quickly, and experts all around the world wanted to check it out to see what kind of animal it is, and that is why they took the dead body from him. At first, they immediately realized that this is a hybrid bear, and just like the hunter, they predicted is a polar grizzly hybrid. With DNA tests, they realized that the mother was a polar bear and the father was a grizzly bear. They realized that they have found a new breed of bear and they named it. So they named it Pizzly, which comes from polar bear and grizzly bear. After this incident, experts tried to look for more Pizzlies, especially in the North Pole. To this day, they've only found 8 natural-born Pizzlies. Remember, we said naturally born, because in different zoos, they have done this before, and that's not natural. Either way, another hybrid animal entered the animal kingdom. But this wasn't the first time a hybrid was found in the wild. In the year 1990, experts found a skull that belonged to a whale they had never seen before, and it has nothing to do with other whales. They did a lot of research to figure out why this skull looks like this and where it came from. After extensive research, they realized that this is a hybrid whale that came from a beluga and a narwhal. Hybrid animals in nature aren't a new thing. They have been happening for millions of years. But after humans came along, they started editing them to the way they like. Like a mule is a hybrid animal that comes from a donkey and horse. It seems like hybrid animals aren't that useful because they can't mate anymore. And at first sight, you think that scientists would not be interested in them. But we are completely wrong. Until now, we know that animals that are very similar to each other can mate with each other and have babies, like 2 different bears, or lions and tigers, and obviously donkeys and horses. Something that doesn't allow like a monkey and a squirrel to have babies is that the egg will not accept the sperm, and that's vice versa, and that is why you will never see a hybrid that came out of a squirrel and a monkey. When 2 creatures mate with each other, a set of chromosomes comes from the mother and a same set comes from the father. The human has 26 chromosomes and 23 comes from the mother and the other 23 comes from the father. So how does horses and donkeys work? Horses have 64 chromosomes, but donkeys have 62 chromosomes. And that is why when the mule is being formed, 32 comes from the horse, but they can't get the equal amount from the donkey. And that is why he gets 1 less chromosome from the donkey side, and he turns into a mule. And one of the reasons a mule cannot mate and have babies is that it doesn't have an equal amount of chromosomes. But scientists aren't gonna let this go that easily, and they want to figure out how a hybrid can for sure mate. Scientists believe that donkeys and horses were separated about 4 million years ago, and that is the reason they don't have the same amount of chromosomes. But on the other hand, when you compare a brown bear and a polar bear, it seems like they haven't been separated for that long, and they have the same exact amount of chromosomes. So when a polar bear and a grizzly bear have a baby, that Pizzly can mate and have babies. The beluga and narwhal have the same amount of chromosomes as well, but they haven't been able to find a hybrid between them. They have found an older skull of that animal, and unfortunately, they aren't able to make this hybrid in a farm. Brown bears and polar bears have recently separated from one another, and scientists believe it's been 150,000 years, and that is the reason their chromosome is the same. Climate change is causing the ices to melt in the North and South Pole, and unfortunately, these animals like to live on ice. So when the ice starts melting, they're basically losing their home because they don't want to live in the water. And that is the reason they start to move more south, somewhere like north of Canada. This might be the reason that the grizzly found a polar bear and mated with it naturally. And in the year 2006, they actually found one. Scientists believe that two animals that are similar to each other mating is not only good for them, but it's extremely good for their future. It could make them better in every way possible. Like for example, a grizzly bear's life is much easier than a polar bear's life. And the reason is the polar bear only likes meat, and life is hard because they can't always find meat. But since the grizzly bear can eat pretty much anything, the grizzly has that advantage over the polar, so life is much easier. It could eat leaves, grain, berries, different fruits, and obviously all types of meats like fish. The grizzly bear is extremely powerful and wild, but compared to the polar bear, it lacks power. It's good to know that polar bears are the most powerful carnivores in the world, and they're also the wildest. So this makes the grizzly an extremely strong predator all around. We have to calculate it like this: all the positives that a polar bear has, and all the positives the grizzly bear has, the grizzly gets. Scientists believe that in the future, grizzlies will be the king of the bears because in every way possible, they have an advantage. A grizzly bear does not want to live in a place like this, and even if it is, it tries not to live there. But grizzly, just like the polar bear, loves the cold weather and cold water. We could say the grizzly likes the extremely cold temperatures and the places the grizzly bear likes to live. If you've seen our video about genetic mutations, you have to know because of this, new life forms can be created, and you could find this mostly in ocean creatures. Hybrids don't change because of genetic mutation, but they are created because of two different types of animals mated. In nature, something like this could create something new, the same exact path the grizzly took. The grizzly could be a brand new animal in the animal kingdom. But let's take a look at ourselves for a second. Any human being on Earth that you DNA test, you could find a little bit of Neanderthal in them. Neanderthals are similar to humans, and back in the day, they used to mate with Homo sapiens, and that is why their genes is inside every human. They predict that around 40,000 years ago, the Neanderthals went extinct, but some scientists say since Homo sapiens were a hybrid animal, they were stronger. If we weren't stronger, we would have ended up like the Neanderthals. So now we realize that genetic mutations actually causes creatures to have a better life in the future, and it helps evolution as well. More powerful animals, smarter and stronger immune system.